You want to know how to start a wildfire in a sleepy mountain town? Try coming back from taking care of your sister after surgery and finding a 10-foot fence slapped across your backyard, bisecting your orchard like it owns the damn place. Yeah, that'll do it. 4 days gone, just long enough to let my sister settle in after the hospital. I come rolling back up the gravel road, sun hanging low, everything smelling like wood smoke and old pine. And there it is, a wall where there shouldn't be one, boards still bleeding fresh cedar sap bolted up by somebody who clearly thought they were building the Berlin Wall and not just another HOA eyesore. Let me tell you, nothing short-circuits your sense of reality quite like standing in your own backyard staring at a private HOA property sign screwed into planks you didn't ask for blocking off the shed your dad built and the solar panels you sunk your last bonus into, and knowing deep down someone's about to learn just how stubborn a Drayton can get. Now, before you start thinking this is some classic neighbor from hell story, let me back up a sec. This wasn't just any neighbor spat. See, my land sits right up against the so-called Mountain Crest development, a neighborhood that always carried itself like royalty on a hill, waving their HOA flags and bylaws like swords, but never, and I mean never, stepping foot over my line. Until now. The fence ran 40 feet out from my porch, cutting straight through rows of peach trees, and there's a sign big as you please, South Mountain Community Grounds, private access only, property of HOA. I laughed out loud right there because my brain was just scrambling for a safe place to land, and hysterical was the only airstrip left. I marched inside and yanked out every deed survey and hand-drawn map I could find, running my finger over every stamped line, hoping maybe, just maybe, somebody else had lost their mind and not me. Registry said my property was untouched, 6 acres bounded north and west by government scrubland, and to the east and south by Mountain Crest. Not a single word about shared green space, not a whisper about boundary disputes. I called the HOA the number on their smug little sign and got voicemail. Left a calm message, then another less calm one, and by the third call I was inventing new 4-letter words for their board. That night I sat on my porch with a cup of stale coffee staring at the fence, waiting for it to vanish like a bad dream. Instead, sunrise brought a manila envelope stuffed in my mailbox, no postage, just dropped off like a ransom note. Inside a typed letter, "Dear adjacent landholder," which is a hell of a way to greet someone you're stealing from. According to them, their recent reassessment determined part of my land had historically been used as shared green space, and their board had reaffirmed it as HOA property. Under Article whatever section, who cares, I was now staring at the new edge of their kingdom. You know what I mean? My family planted those trees. My dad built that shed with his best friend, poured concrete until his knuckles bled. And now half an acre fenced off my orchard, chopped in two like some kind of HOA land grab, was just business as usual. So I pulled out my old survey tools, leftover habits from my Army Corps of Engineers days, and started marking that fence GPS in one hand, a growing sense of outrage in the other. When you've spent a lifetime solving other people's disasters, you learn not to panic. You get precise. Next morning, I marched into the Lotta County Assessor's office, handed the clerk my deed, asked if there'd been any change. She double-checked nothing. No updates, no disputes, no legal flags at all. Paper in hand, I called an old friend, Ellis Freeman, a surveyor who's as precise as a Swiss watch and twice as stubborn. Within 2 days, Ellis was crawling my fence line with satellite gear, finding the old brass stakes my father buried 40 years back. His verdict: the fence stood 68 feet inside my line. They hadn't even bothered to make it close. "It's a joke," Mike Ellis said, handing me his report, GPS overlays and elevation data so tight it could have held up in a NASA lab. Time to get serious. I dug out the motion sensors I'd quietly wired around my property habit from another life and synced them to alert me if anyone so much as sneezed on my side of the fence. I dropped 2 GPS tags onto the new crossbeams because if they tried moving that fence in the dead of night, I'd know. I went to the sheriff, next deed survey, GIS maps in hand, and Deputy Ramirez gave me that look like he wanted to help, but the law had its own lazy river to float. Looks like a civil issue unless there's criminal trespass or property damage, he said, sliding a complaint form my way. I walked out, gritting my teeth. Then came the voicemail, block number woman's voice, cool as dry ice. Mr. Drayton, this is Karen Tudor, president of the Mountain Crest HOA. We understand you may be confused about the zoning changes. We're offering you the opportunity to join as an associate member and regain access to the parcel behind the fence for a small monthly maintenance fee, of course. I swear I laughed so hard I almost choked on my own disbelief. These folks were trying to charge me rent for my own dirt. Didn't take long before the fence started attracting attention. First from a pair of clipboard-toting men in HOA polos, taking photos along the new border like it was some kind of archaeological dig. I filmed them from my kitchen window grinning. But the real twist, a notarized statement shows up from my old neighbor, Elvin Talbot, claiming under oath that my father once expressed intent to donate part of our parcel for environmental protection. Never mind Elvin's the kind of man who'd avoid confrontation with a gopher. Turns out Karen incentivized him with a new roof, paid out of the HOA maintenance fund. I got it all on tape. When I called my lawyer Courtney, she just sighed. They're trying to fake a history of consent. Judges sometimes fall for this. Let me tell you, posting that first YouTube video, walking the fence, showing the deed, the GPS readout, and Karen's voicemail blew the whole mess open. Within hours, local Facebook groups had it, and by the next day the view count was exploding. Messages poured in, some from folks who'd fought their own HOAs, some just mad on my behalf. And then Dean Holloway, a former board member, reached out, said Karen forged the vote, the fence was never authorized, and he'd give a statement. Suddenly I wasn't fighting alone. Things started spiraling for the HOA. A strange man with a drone showed up filming my land, claimed no comment when I called him out, but my motion sensors caught someone sneaking a ladder over the fence that night. Ellis found old Army aerials showing my orchard and shed standing proud since 82 years before Mountain Crest ever poured a sidewalk. Courtney nearly danced with excitement. They're done. Get ready for court. Right when I thought I'd seen it all, Elvin showed up at my door with a guilty face and a basket of jam, confessed. Karen had leaned on him to sign that witness statement, promised his leaky roof would get fixed if he played along. I recorded every word, handed it off to Courtney, and she dropped it in the judge's lap with an emergency motion. The next morning, the court slapped the HOA with an injunction, barred them from touching my land or enforcing their rules on the disputed parcel. After that, things got a little wild. My channel war for 68 feet started blowing up. Thousands watched me walk the perimeter, break down survey records, and read parts of the confession. A retired surveyor offered to help. Someone made a viral meme about my shed. News crews showed up, and I gave the best quote of my life. Feels like a sitcom written by people who hate veterans. That one made the evening news. But Mountain Crest wasn't done being stupid. 2 board members showed up after midnight, flashlights and wire cutters in hand, trying to tamper with my solar rig. I watched it unfold live on camera, called the sheriff, as Courtney instructed, and within 20 minutes the deputies had them cuffed on my orchard. When we took that footage to court, along with survey maps, the deed, historic aerials, and Elvin's full confession, the judge didn't even let Karen's lawyer finish. This is coordinated fraud and unlawful encroachment, he said, ordering a forensic audit of all HOA records. The audit, it was a treasure chest, ghost, invoices, maintenance funds, misspent. Elvin's roof job logged as community goodwill, and not a single vote ever recorded to approve the fence. The county pressed charges falsification, land theft, conspiracy to defraud. Karen's lawyer turned out to be unlicensed, part of a shell company her cousin ran. The HOA imploded, state froze their accounts. Neighbors lined up to sue, clubhouse padlocked, and suddenly everyone wanted to know how I'd done it. Final court ruling, $215,000 in damages, legal fees, property restoration, and emotional distress. When the fence finally came down, I set a granite post at the old border bolted in a brass plaque. This is where my land ended, but I didn't let them take a step further. No fanfare, no camera crew, just me, a shovel, and the ghost of my dad's steady hand on my shoulder. But you know what? It didn't end there. My story started a fire. Folks from all over Colorado wrote me, people scared of their own HOAs asking how to fight back. I got invited to speak at forums, wound up testifying at the State House. Now there's a bill, the Drayton Amendment, working its way through the legislature aimed at tightening HOA boundaries so no one gets steamrolled the way I almost did. Last I heard, Karen's mugshot made the rounds on local news, and I keep getting hats in the mail, 68 feet of freedom stitched on the brim. So let me ask you, was I right to fight like hell, or did I just stir up more trouble for the next guy down the line? If you got a story about standing your ground, or maybe a run-in with your own brand of Karen, I want to hear it. Drop your take in the comments, because out here, the line between what's yours and what's theirs is only as strong as you make it.